not sure. I haven't heard. I'm not sure. Hey, Scott and Scott. You guys ready?
5:30?
It's 5:30.
Be one of those big triangle dinner bells.
I had a couple minutes.
Sorry to break it up.
Air horn.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I ask that you would please rise as Pastor Roger Satsana for Life Church leads us in the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would you pray with me? Lord Jesus, first off, I want to thank you for the opportunity to pray with and for these men and women who are serving the city of Fergus Falls and its people. Lord, my prayer today is that you would bless each of them, bless their families, and draw each of us into a deeper relationship with you. You said you're the vine and we're the branches, and apart from you, we can do nothing, so help us abide in you. Holy Spirit, I invite you to come and speak in and through each person here. Father God, may your will be done and may you be glorified. Lord, I pray especially for those people in our city who feel like they have no hope, feel like no one cares, and they're just in a really dark place. Lord, may we be your hands and feet. May we find creative and beautiful ways to show your love to those people. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is 5:30, January 17th, 2023, and we'll call this meeting of the Fergus Falls City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Here. Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Here. We have a quorum. First item of business this evening is the approval of the agenda, and I will call on our city administrator, Andrew Brumseth. Good evening, Andrew.
Good evening, Your Honor, council members. We don't have any changes from staff this evening to the agenda.
Hearing no changes, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
I would offer that.
Thank you, Tom.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jim. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. We have no public hearings, bids to award, or petitions or communications this evening, which brings us to the consent agenda. There are 10 items on the consent agenda. If anyone would like to discuss any of those items individually, we can remove them. Anthony?
They do 1 and 8.
1 and 8. Anyone else have anything else they'd like to remove for consideration? Hearing none, I would look for a resolution.
Mayor Ben,
Oh, yeah.
I would also, number 1.
Number 1. Okay, yep, we have number 1 and number 8 off, which would leave us 8 remaining items, and we can pass those through a single resolution if someone would like to offer that.
I'll make them.
Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Scott. Roll call.
Thompson.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Comfort.
Yes.
Greenmeyer.
Yes.
That resolution is approved. Item number 1 is a motion approving the minutes from January 3rd, 2023 City Council meeting and the January 11th, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting. Both Anthony and Al, I believe, wanted to make a comment or a correction.
Yeah, it was I wonder if my comment was more that on the approval of the agenda, obviously we talk about, that earlier tonight at an open forum, a point was addressed about having the new council seated immediately. I wonder if we can put language in there that actually cites the city code of 31.25
31.25, okay.
to tie the two together. And then equally, I'd also, if possible, I'd like the actual language for it in there. Because one thing that within the language of 31.25, it says at its first regular meeting in January, the council shall, in the order herein stated and prior to commencing its regular order of business, reorganized by, and, the minutes states that the Fergus Falls City Council held a regular meeting on Tuesday, January the 3rd. And the definition in the code of a regular meeting is one that is held on the first and the third Mondays of each month. And I know it's being pedantic about words, but the first regular and prior to commencing seem to be important words. So I'd like those reflected in the minutes, please.
Thank you, Anthony. Al, did you have something to add?
Yes, I did. Looking under the open forum section, where it had mentioned, and I know that there was a discussion about what had been done in the past with that example that Anthony had brought up with seating the new council ahead of time and not having the old council vote. Looking at the past 3 election agendas and minutes after the last 3 elections, back in 17, 19, and 21, in 2017 and in 2019, the new council was seated right away, and then business was begun. In 2021, I believe there was no change in council, so it just went on as normal business. As it was stated in at the meeting, that it was done as long as you can remember, that it was done with the old council voting on issues or business, prior to the swearing in of a new council. I'd also like to make a comment. Me personally, I don't care about that. What I do care is I want the code followed. If we can follow a code, we have one. I believe we should follow it if we can. And that kind of, I just want to clarify that as we look into those past minutes and agendas, that the new council was sworn in those 2 elections out of the last 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Any other additions or to those minutes? Got that, Lynn? That information? Okay, thanks. Would someone like to offer a motion to approve the minutes?
I can make that.
Thank you, Anthony. Someone like to second that? Thank you. Scott, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Those amended minutes are approved. Item number 8 is a resolution accepting JLG Architects professional services proposal for design, development, final design, and construction administration in the amount of $681,820 for public improvement 9504, the Aquatic Center. Anthony?
And my question was a follow-up. I'd asked if city staff could clarify that there are no covenants or restrictions on the property. So I would hate to spend $600,000 or $700,000 and then find that we can't do something there.
Certainly. Claire?
I can clarify, there are no covenants.
Yeah.
We did pull those deeds. Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
Thank you. Someone would you like to offer a resolution?
I can make that.
I'll second it, John.
Resolution is second. Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Tony.
Yes.
Hooker.
Yes.
Freemeyer.
Yes.
That resolution is approved. Under ordinance and resolutions, first item of business is a second reading of ordinance 34, 8th series, dealing with shoreline management. This has been before the council. It's had its first reading. If anyone has any questions, we can direct them to Claire Beck or our city attorney. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Tony.
Yes.
Hooker.
Yes.
Freemeyer.
Yes.
That ordinance is approved. Item number 2 is a resolution approving the petition of membership to the Charter Commission. And I would call on City Attorney Rolf Nickelmo.
Thank you. We have a charter commission that is in charge of the charter, which is our constitution, and it is comprised of 14 members. They serve for 4-year terms, and they serve staggered terms. So every couple of years, we have to reappoint charter commission members. They are appointed by the chief judge of the judicial district. They are not, and we, the council and the charter commission can make recommendations to the chief judge, but the chief judge retains full authority to appoint whoever the chief judge wants. Be that as it may, it's oftentimes helpful for the charter commission to recommend to the city council proposed members, and it's also helpful for the city council to review those members, and if you agree with the charter commission, to pass a resolution that shows parity between the charter commission and the city council on the appointment of new charter commission members. If you disagree with the charter commission as to their proposed slate of candidates, you have the right to submit your own slate of candidates as well. And then the chief judge can make a decision to either accept one slate, accept the other slate, or accept neither slate. So it's oftentimes easier for the judge to know that the charter commission is on board with the council, and the charter commission's coming forward with a proposed list of new appointees to the charter commission, and that is the proposed resolution before you. If you agree with it, you should offer this resolution, pass it by 5 yes votes, and I will then submit the petition to the court, and with a little bit of luck, the chief judge will agree with us and issue its order appointing charter commission members within a couple weeks.
Thank you for that, Rolf.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Is there term limits on the charter commission members? I mean, how many,
Term
is there a
limits?
term limit?
They for 4-year terms, but there is no term limits on charter commission
So
members.
they
They can do it as many times as as they
Hmm.
wish.
Someone like to
I can make that, Your Honor.
offer that? Thank you, Anthony.
I'll second.
Scott, we have a resolution and a second. Any discussion?
Just for the record, Your Honor, Bill just pointed out correctly that the address listed for one of these members is incorrect. So what we actually submit to the chief judge may look a little bit different. Sarah Duffy is no longer resides at the address listed, so we'll just have to update that. So the document will look slightly different, but these are the names that will be going forward if the council approves.
Can I ask, though, that she continues to be a resident?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a resolution. Any further questions, comments, discussion? Roll call, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Barney.
Yes.
Clifford.
Yes.
Kramer.
Yes.
That resolution is approved. Item number 3 is a resolution approving a lobbyist contract with Joel Carlson, and I will call on City Administrator Andrew Bremson.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Council members, the city's been working with Joel Carlson as our lobbyist in St. Paul for over 20 years. At the end of 2022, a 2-year contract expired, and it's that time of the biennium that we have to renew the contract if we want to continue working with Joel in St. Paul. He is keeping his rate the same as it was in year 2 of our last contract. He did reduce it significantly during COVID times, given the uncertainty of everybody's budgets. But we're looking at a proposed 2-year contract. The annual contract rate is $43,420 spread out over the year. The legislative committee discussed this, and we feel that Joel has done a good job for us. And the $43,000, while a significant investment in these services, has yielded several million in return, whether it be through bonding or other funding opportunities from St. Paul. So, being 3 hours away, it's hard to have a staff person there at a frequent enough basis to be truly effective throughout that process, making it pretty important to have somebody with boots on the ground representing our interests. So that's the item before you this evening is a 2-year contract with Joel Carlson, $43,420 in year 1 and in year 2.
Thank you. Andrew, someone like to offer
I'll
that
offer that,
resolution?
Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'll second that and say
Thank
that,
you, Tom.
yeah, I totally agree with what Andrew said about Joel being a great investment. I mean, he has gotten us a lot of resources and money, and he works hard, and he's great to work with, so.
Thank you, Tom. Any other comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Barney.
Yes.
Clifford.
Yes.
Kramer.
Yes.
The resolution is approved. Item number 4 is a resolution adopting the city's legislative priorities. As Andrew mentioned, the legislative committee has met recently. The committee consists of myself, Anthony, Tom, and city administrator. So if they have something to weigh in, but Andrew, do you want to just give an overview of what those legislative priorities are?
Yeah, I will. Thank you, Your Honor. Council members, the committee had a chance to meet here about a week and a half ago, and there's probably some updates since that I'll defer to my colleagues on. But in no particular order, we came up with a list of 5 priorities for consideration by the council. One being the additional $3 million in sales tax authorization for the Aquatic Center. We had $3 million that stalled out in the tax bill last year. We put the question to the voters with the higher amount, knowing that we'd have to come back and get the legislative authorization for the additional $3 million after the fact. The $5.2 million bonding request that we approved at our last council meeting, which includes benefits to the dairy property and Old Smoky, a sales and use tax exemption for a proposed economic development project in the community, which we're referring to as Project 116. We're not public with that project at this point in time, but there are some opportunities this legislative session to help that project move along. The legislative committee talked about a potential request for additional cash related to RTC holding costs. When the city was gifted the RTC back in 2007. We had $1 million from the state given to us for holding costs. That's upkeep, maintenance, anything like that that happens. And over the years, that money has slowly been spent, and we're looking to hopefully replenish that, given the fact that there's such a surplus in the legislature this year. And then finally, work had started on this last session. We didn't get to the finish line on anything because of the everything stalling out, but a local government aid, or LGA, adjustment for the coal plant closure and it being a coal community. There's been a lot of receptiveness from state legislators for communities like ours that, because of regulation, have lost coal plants, and as a result have lost significant tax base and other detriments to the community. So looking at trying to provide additional resources to our community to help fill that funding gap or that tax base loss related to the closure of the plant. Again, I mentioned that there's a major surplus, $19 billion surplus, so I think the city should stand prepared if the opportunity arises at the 11th hour to put something forward to do that, and I think the city is prepared to do that, so I encourage all of you to continue to be thinking about what that may look like. And then finally, this will be at the tail end of our agenda tonight as well, but the committee has talked about having a discussion on roads and funding for roads, because unfortunately there are limited funding opportunities for local streets in a city at the legislative level. A lot of folks hear that we're doing bonding requests and we're looking for this money and that money, and the obvious place that the mind goes is, why aren't we getting money for streets, right? Because our streets are in need. These legislative programs, unfortunately, haven't gone down the road of funding local streets. We talked at the Committee of the Whole last week about the state aid system and how those funds operate, but we have not seen communities be real successful when looking for funding for local roads within the communities. So I don't think that's a winning strategy. Just want to have that conversation here in a little while. And the other thing I'll mention related to roads is there's organizations like the League of Minnesota Cities, the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, that are always talking about the formulas and funding formulas for transportation and roads. So we would benefit from those efforts, but they're not ever getting to the point where individual cities are going to make the benefit through those conversations. So anyway, those are the legislative priorities as the legislative committee has discussed. I know the rest of the group had a nice meeting with our local legislator yesterday, and I don't know if any of them have anything to add prior to council action.
Yeah, we did. We met with Senator Rasmussen yesterday. Anthony, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I think Jordan was positive, and obviously will be supportive. Obviously reminded us that as much as there is a $19 billion surplus, there is also probably going to be, $19 billion worth of requests, and that not every project necessarily will get funded. But I think, he seems overall positive. I mean, we spoke a lot about the dairy property being, as much as anything as a priority to get that funded, because that has a lot of positives for it in the sense that it would add to housing, which is obviously a shortage for most communities. And I think, obviously the, in inverted commas, the simple one hopefully should be the sales tax authorization. I mean, he doesn't see any challenges particularly on that, but equally says until you get, the fat lady sings, you're not done. So, but it was good. The only one that he was cautious about was RTC holding costs, as being, that could detract from, dollars that go to something else within the community. So, but all in all, he was positive.
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, or Anthony, I'm sorry. And yeah, all in all, I've just echo, it's a positive meeting. It's going to most likely be a positive session. It's a surplus, so we look forward to getting a lot done down there. Yeah, Scott.
As you're beginning to speak about this, Ben, you said we met with Jordan, and I was just wondering who the people were. Who
The
was
legislative committee.
involved? So it was you and Anthony and
Tom.
I was on the phone.
Okay. Thank
Sorry.
you. No, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah. And I believe Scott is going to be down at Coalition's Legislative Action Day too, if any of the other council members happen to. I think it's next week, isn't it already? Next Tuesday?
Wednesday, the
Tuesday and
25th.
Wednesday. So if anyone's down there, that's a day that the Coalition member cities all meet as a group and then individually with their legislators. So we have our list of legislative priorities. If anyone has any I guess we should act on them on now. Would someone like to offer a resolution making these official priorities?
I'll offer that.
Thanks, Brent. Thank you. Scott, any further discussion, questions? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 The resolution is approved. Yeah, so now we have our legislative priorities. Scott's going to be down there. We'll all be down there at different times. So if you get a chance, talk to our legislators.
Yeah,
Next Wednesday.
Your Honor,
Let Joel
Councilmember.
know if you're going to be down
Yeah,
there.
I was just going to say, if you want Joel to schedule meetings or to do anything, you just have to reach out, and I can coordinate that, or he can, or whatever you want to do. So,
Thank you. Item number 5 is a resolution authorizing staff to retain the services of a consultant at Baker Tilly regarding the application for tax increment financing for FM Bank. We discussed this at the prior council meeting as well as at the committee of the whole. If there's any questions, Claire, do you have anything to add to this from last Wednesday?
I just have a question. What is the cost for Baker and Tilly? What is the cost for that?
City?
Yeah,
0.
Okay.
It's on the applicant.
Okay.
Would be
that's right.
the one. That's accurate, correct?
That's accurate. Yep, the applicant pays $12,000 for kind of holding an escrow, and then
15,
as
isn't it?
15, yes, thank you. And as the project unfolds and as Baker Tilly works, that we use that money then to pay them. The money that is not used does get returned.
But the city's not on the hook for this portion of
Sure.
any project until any project potentially would go forward. Someone like to offer a resolution?
I'll offer that and then I have a comment, Your Honor.
Yeah, thank you. Anthony? Would like to second
I'll
that
second.
resolution? Thank you, Jim. Go ahead, Anthony.
I would say as much as obviously it's a good project, but I think, they obviously cited 3.5 years, and I think that, and then within the language, there's something about potentially doubling that. I would like to see it at least consolidated to 3.5 years so that we can get it actually onto the property tax roll. But I think cleaning up, replacing Shopco with something nicer. And the reason I kind of say that is because there's the potential that if FM Bank move over there, then there's going to be another old building on a corner, and will that property then come back and ask for some TIF to do something with that building as well. So I think we should be cognizant of what they're going to vacate a corner as much as they're going to tidy up one corner. They're going to leave us with another corner that's not quite as pretty.
So you're just, are you saying like as we evaluate
Yeah.
like when Baker Tilly
When
comes
it
back,
comes back, yep.
we just keep in mind that you
Yep.
want to keep the
Yep.
tax agreement period as short as possible. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Joel.
Yes.
Condon.
Yes.
Hooper.
Yes.
Yes.
A resolution is approved. Next would be a resolution pertaining to the initiation of Public Improvement 5362, which is the Fur and Freiburg Avenue Roundabout Improvement Project, and accept the Otter Tail County's agreement for the intersection improvement for County State Aid Highway 1 and Freiburg Avenue. We will call on our city engineer, Brian Ybarra. Good evening, Brian.
And thank you, good evening, Your Honor, and members of the council. Yes, at the last committee of the whole, I requested two things. That would be to initiate Public Improvement 5362 and to accept Otter Tail County's agreement for this intersection improvement for Casal 1 and Freiburg Avenue, which is MSA State Route 126. Also, like I said, contained in there was a cooperative agreement I can go over, but in general, the county's requested about 1/3 of the cost be the local share. The other 2 shares would be city, that would be funded through construction state aid. So since that meeting, I did send out a map, which is our official municipal state aid route map. That's for viewing. Like I had mentioned, any routes designated on those are where the applicability of our construction state aid funds can be spent on. I do have a 3-page list, but in general, everything like pavement improvements, some stormwater hydraulics, right-of-way engineering and everything are applicable through our construction state aid amounts. Less, which one thing is not really, is more enhanced like streetscape features like decorative trash cans, retaining walls, things of that nature are not fundable, only a small percent with this, with the state aid funds. I did hand out too as well a map for you too, other than our state aid route. This is a little bit of customized map I made. This map illustrates current federal and state aid projects we have on the boards right now or initiated. I just want to note of the 3, we have Union Avenue that's listed, that was on the consent agenda. That's a state transportation improvement program, federal aid funds, 2022. Broadway is in 2023. I want to note, we did have Randolph on a state aid project only. However, the state did approach me indicating they had an additional $600,000 federal aid funds. Given the amount of design we had and a quick turnaround, I added Randolph onto the Broadway project. And then the next programmed is Pebble Lake Road, Washington, Freiburg. That's programmed in STIP 2026. We do have some other projects, color-coded areas that are just purely state aid fund construction amounts. I do have some dashed lines as well, Cleveland Avenue, Union Avenue South, downtown corridor. Those projects are not initiated, but those are kind of been on the horizon as well. But I'll open up to any questions you might have in regards to this topic and the requested action at hand.
So just for the people viewing at home and in the audience, could you just go over the different color codes real quick again on this map that's on the board?
Yeah, we can start off in the, let's just say in the upper left. That's a MnDOT project. That's the I-94 bridge replacement project consisting of about three roundabouts. That's scheduled about 2027. The city will have their estimations about $2 million in cost participation, primarily pavement needs associated with that project. However, they might advance that project. It's still unknown, but we will have some cost shares with it. I'll also mention, like I said, on Broadway, they're in yellow, and then the Randolph, that's state transportation, federal aid 2023. As you go more to the east, Union in red. That's the current project. We're going to be trying to go out for rebids here as well. And if you move farther to the east, I think that's a very light blue, Freiburg Avenue. Then if you go down the page, and Sheridan, Pebble Lake Road, that's also one project, part of State Transportation Federal Lakes 2026. We do have Stanton Avenue, that is initiated, that's reblocked from Broadway to Union Avenue. That is not federal funds, that's purely state aid funds. Going to fund a portion of the payments. We will be coming back once we finish the appraisals with all of our other funding packages, with special assessments and everything as well. But like I said, I did some dashed lines, some other areas we have not initiated yet, but that we have been looking at, and I'm just pointing them out there right now. But as I noted on here, these are purely state and federal aid. Our local levied projects and everything are not shown on this map. And one project I don't have shown on there is a Union Avenue Bridge. That's been in some years. We're under preliminary, we did preliminary plans submitted to the state bridge office and everything. So that process is moving, however, not as fast as I would like, but it is a pretty big project, and it's looking in regards to the Union Avenue Bridge project. That's going to be a full deck replacement instead of a full bridge replacement at this time. So some of the forensics initial investigation we did on the pilings and everything turned out very positive for this project. So
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. So we had a robust discussion on Wednesday morning. So what would the council, what was the wishes of the council regarding the roundabout on Fur and Freiburg Ave?
Obviously, I was the one that brought it up, so, I mean, obviously for the $730,000 that would be our share of the roundabout, there's certainly some roads on here that I would sooner rather see us put money in. Union Avenue South, particularly, at the junction from Alcott, that's a really rough area, going along there. And Cavour from Union to Cascade, that street's, also pretty rough. And I think that, we don't have to make a decision tonight on a roundabout as such, and I think we would serve the community better to look at some of these white dash roads and put money into that. That's one of the hot topics that we're always criticized for, is that the roads are bad. I mean, I hear that every time you speak to somebody, and I think, $750,000 on doing some of these roads would make a big difference to people's perception of what we do and what we're about.
Thanks, Anthony.
I would also like to add to Anthony, if I may.
Yeah, just one second. I just want to,
Sure.
quick clarifying question, and we'll come to Al. You mentioned that we have funds available in our Minnesota State Aid pot, if you will. This project is the county's doing the engineering. I guess here's my question: does it get to a point of capacity as far as city staff in some of these roads that don't have partnerships, either federal or state roads, as far as like the engineering work that needs to be done? So it's not just a matter of here's $700,000. Does that come into play? I just thought about that when Anthony was asking that question.
To answer your question, yes, it certainly does. It does in my decision making. For instance, some of our local projects, I like reconstructions and everything. I prefer to do those in-house when you're using state, especially federal aid funds. There's a lot of administration paperwork that goes along with these programs and everything. That's why a lot of it, I try to look at consultants. I have limited staff members, but that's why I try to look at our local levied funds. For instance, reconstruction, we're looking at Laurel Street, just pretty much northwest of Our Lady of Victory Church that we're looking at presently right now as well and working on.
Sure.
Your Honor,
Just one second, Al.
we're having discussion before we have a motion.
Sure.
That's not Robert's rules.
Okay, all right. So would someone like to, thank you.
I will offer it.
Thank you, Jim. We have a resolution initiating project, Public Improvement 5362. Would someone like to second that? Scott, thank you. Yes, Al, sorry.
I guess I'm kind of with Anthony on that. The road there, where they're talking about the roundabout, it's in quite good shape. And now we're going to proceed with digging it up, putting our money into that, and putting other money into it that could be used in the city where there's some pretty rough roads. Cleveland Avenue, I grew up on that road as a kid. And I know that the people coming into work from Woodland Heights would really probably appreciate that in my Ward 3 if that road was fixed at some point in time. I just think that, somebody can, let's say, maybe get by without a roundabout on a road that's from what I know, is in really good shape compared to these other roads. It's been a hot topic for the election as roads. And I think we could definitely use that elsewhere on these other roads if there's that money for it. I think it should be directed that way. And that's why I feel it should be used for. And I think the people of the Third Ward would like that too.
Thanks, Al. Scott?
Our conversation this afternoon, Brian, about this. You told me that the union is going to be a total reconstruction. Is that not true? That's different than what this is going to be over.
Your Honor,
Yes, please.
Rachel's, yes. The union shown on this map, red, all these state transportation projects.
Right.
I just want to, these are resurfacing projects. Union South, I got a dash, that we would probably look as a reconstruction because the pavements, everything are too far gone. Just to note, on Union Avenue, just this area, that just for resurfacing and EDA improvements, barring the market or not, but we came in bids at $2.5 million. If we were going to, in my opinion, reconstruct this same project limits, it'd be tenfold probably, at least, versus what we're looking at. So it's very expensive.
That's why I wanted to make sure we could get the numbers on that.
Yes.
I don't like to see spending this money over here, but that roundabout is needed, and that, I'm sure the people from that ward understand it very much. I used to live there, so but I just want to make sure we understood that project on there is a very expensive project to fix.
Union Avenue South side as well. Yes.
So,
Thanks.
Probably.
Scott?
They all are, seem to be made up.
Thank you, Scott. Scott?
A little bit just on the process. This is something that we've been essentially drawn into because of the county's desire to build this roundabout. It wasn't something that we went to the county and said, we want this roundabout, will you please get the ball rolling? They came to us and said, we're going to do this and here's your share. Is that kind of how this plays out? I mean, would that be an accurate way to say this, or what?
I can't speak prior to my employment at the city. I do know, talking from my predecessor, it's been a long-range plan. Perhaps not in their transportation, it's been a long-range plan. Hence, in 2016, they acquired private property to have adequate right-of-way to do this project. 2020, we did a joint venture for 3 roundabout studies at at this location, Union Avenue and then Tower Road. And we pursued funding at this time. But yes, I think the county's come to determination that over all this discussion and planning, now that we have the right-of-way as well, they did demolish a homestead that was, they relocated, I think, the garage and demolished a homestead that was on that property. So I think things aligned, and hence, I can't speak for them, but they're looking just a bond for their share too, to make this project come to fruition. So.
And I just would add, if my memory serves me, that when the county brought those 3 roundabout projects, the one of them, we heard from some of the business community who said no, like the one by Fur Avenue and Union, I believe. And then we said, absolutely not, we're not in support of that roundabout, and the county scrapped that roundabout. Right. So there was discussion at the 3 different roundabouts at that time, unless I'm mistaken, but we did have discussion just about the general utility, if you will, of those roundabouts in those situations. But please finish.
Well, to follow up then, I guess, is there any way the county would even pursue this if we didn't go along with it? I mean, because they've identified it as a priority. They put all this years of work and investment into developing it. Could they go ahead without the city involvement?
I don't want to speak for their behalf, possibly, but however, they have other communities too where they have these same cooperative share agreements as well. So I couldn't answer. I can certainly make that request to them, but I couldn't answer if they would proceed with it or not.
So we do have a resolution and a second. So before we call for that vote, are there any other questions or comments? Yes.
I just say that I think that obviously if Union's 2.5, then for example, the Cascade portion is a lot smaller, so maybe that's kind of $500,000. But I still would just reiterate that the roads in Fergus are not in the best shape, and this is an opportunity to reallocate $750,000 towards fixing roads. So
I would agree with Anthony on that, too. We've got a lot of roads in town. We've got to start someplace. Why can't we start now? We're our second meeting into a different council. I really want to see some changes in our roads. I don't agree that a roundabout is necessary for a perfectly good road. And that was the county's choice and the city's choice back in 16 when they acquired, it was the county's bought that property. You know, that was their choice. And we have to look at our roads now. And like I said, Cleveland Avenue, I don't know what that would cost, but we've got to start someplace. We have to start saving $750,000 here, $800,000 here, $300,000 there. That adds up. And I really want us to be aware of that.
Thanks, Al. Any other questions, comments before we call for the vote? Roll call, please.
Thompson.
No.
Rachels.
Yes.
Hicks.
No.
Fish.
Yes.
Joel.
No.
Tony.
Yes.
Rupert.
Yes.
Greenmeyer.
No.
Looks like it's 4-4, which I believe then I break the tie. I'll vote in the affirmative. That resolution is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Item number 7 is a resolution approving 4 months of interest. Yeah, item number 7. Resolution approving 4 months of interest-only loan payments for Outstate Brewing. And I will call on us. Bill Sonmo.
Do you want to speak at all to it, Anthony, or should I?
You can do it, Bill.
Okay, you'll chime in if I miss something. Good evening, council, mayor. Before you, the city has received a request from Outstate Brewing to allow them to make interest-only payments for the months of January, February, March, and April of 2023. Just as a little history, during COVID, the city did allow that to happen for certain businesses for a time. And so, you know, their argument to us was that we were impacted adversely because of all that, you know, that happened back then. We're hoping this is their last time of requesting this. And when we discussed with them about their other lenders, the banks and another company that is their lenders, the thought is that they are going to allow interest-only payments as well during that time. So we bring that before you tonight to see if that's something you're interested in. They are current on that loan. They did make their January interest-only payment in anticipation of this. Now, if you were to turn that down, then we'd go back and have, you know, collect principal from them too. But that's where we're standing as of today. It was an original loan of $250,000. The current balance as of the end of December of 2022 is $171,215. So,
Thanks.
Anthony, did I miss anything? Anthony and I and Jill Hansen from Community Development, we met with them
Well,
last week.
I think they have a, you know, typically, obviously, the, you know, Q1 winter season is tough for, you know, their business, and as Bill said, they're setting up some agreements on distribution that hopefully will give them better cash flow going forward, and they're also in consultation with the bank on some of those things as well.
You'd like to offer that resolution?
I'll make that resolution, sorry.
Thanks, Anthony.
Yep.
Second, Brent. Further discussion, questions for?
I got a couple questions.
Yeah, please, Scott.
In their agreement, in the COVID part of it, did they change, did they ask for this in the future possibly, or is that?
No, we didn't set that up back in 20 or 21 about coming back in the future.
Did they
If
talk
make-
about their other creditors? I mean, so,
No, go ahead.
their other creditors, and are their bills all paid for everything? I mean, the construction projects, I just got done maybe, 2 years ago. Is that all taken care of, you know? Or is that something I don't get to ask?
I don't think I even know the
I know, but
answer
I'm
to
just,
that.
there's been some talk, and I just want to see, before I start saying I'm just gonna give you interest only, it's like, you know,
We
I'm not up
we
for
have met
that.
with the bank in the past as well. We didn't meet with them last week.
Yeah.
We had correspondence that, because we wanted to know, are the other lenders looking at going interest only too? You know, if the city's going to look at that. So yeah, I mean, as far as I know, everything is financed either through the bank or through us.
And in general, they're current according to their statements.
I understand that, it's
Yep.
just that they're asking for,
Yep.
I could just say I'm a businessman also, if I'd love to have some interest only if that was the case, but I never did.
Right.
It's just, it's part of being in business, so.
We should also state that it's basically the 4 months that are interest only get tacked on to the end.
Oh,
So
I understand.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
moves.
I know
Yeah.
that.
It's about cash
The balloon
flow.
payment at the end
Right.
goes up higher,
Right.
which of course the hope is that they're more profitable at that time. They're able to pay that off at the end without refinancing it again, but that's,
Any
Well,
other discussions before we, well, yes, Al?
I guess what aren't they, would they be paying? I mean, if it's interest only, what is the portion what is the amount that they're not paying?
that's where I wish Jill was here. She knows those amortizations. Let me look. If,
Sorry about a tough question.
So maybe around $2,800 a month is the principal portion.
Yeah.
Interest being like 730 some. So they'd be making the $700 payment, but not the 2,800 for those 4 months.
Okay.
Good question, and I'm glad I had that in the packet.
Thanks, Bill. I get, and you said this was done once before during COVID?
During COVID, yeah.
Okay, and it wasn't done any time?
And then we extended that at one time. We did it during COVID as a program as the council, and then I think they came back individually and requested an extension, and we granted it at that time.
How long was the extension, do you remember?
6 months if I remember, but I might be
What was-
wrong. It was 6 months, I thought, but I might be wrong. 4 months.
Let's see. Okay, during COVID, we deferred 3 or 4 months completely, principal and interest
Principal and
payments were
interest.
completely deferred during COVID. Then we came back later in November of 20, and then we had 8 months of interest-only payments. See if this accountant can count
Yeah,
here.
you're doing good.
8 months of interest only, then back on for principal and interest, and then coming back now for 4.
Does this seem like a pattern?
It definitely is a seasonal issue. It's a cash flow issue in this time of year when they don't have the sales.
And I understand that.
Yes, Brent?
When we did this once before, I can't remember who I was talking to, where do we sit in line on,
Position,
yeah.
I think we're 3rd position, is that right, Clara? Yep.
Now, when it comes down to it, if this business were to fail, what are the opportunities that we'd actually receive any money back on it, being in the 3rd position?
I can't speak off the top of my head, but probably not great.
Not great. Yeah, I mean, at least this way here, we're giving an opportunity to keep them afloat and get something in return, but if we turn around and don't do this, we could end up being in the 3rd position and not getting anything at all.
And that is our loans are a gap funding, so we don't have great positions on our loans. It's usually the bank's always first, and so that is the purpose of our loans. But Brent makes a good point that it's, we're not
It's
in great
unfortunate,
standing as far
but
as
something's better than nothing.
Other questions, comments before we call for the vote?
And basically the balance is going down. I mean, we started at 250 and we're down to 171 now. So, and that's the purpose of doing the interest only.
I don't want to sound harsh, but we were business friendly to offer them this loan, or to give them a loan, but now, if we say no to this, we're not being business, but we are being still business friendly, but we're not, if we say no, it doesn't mean like we don't want them there. It's just that, being in business, I mean, it's part of first thing you do is pay your bills. And, I'm gonna vote no, I'm not gonna, because it's,
one of their, and Anthony brought that up, as far as, they did explain to us about their distribution plans that are, some new distribution plans that are appearing to be successful already. So that's encouraging that this should be the last time, that we shouldn't have to. But that was one of their arguments made to us, so.
All right, so we've got the resolution in second. Last comments? Roll call.
Thompson.
Yes.
Rachel.
No.
Hicks.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
Joel.
Yes.